Welcome back, everybody. I am thrilled to be talking to Zibby Allen. You know her as Bree from Virgin River, all the Facebook groups that I love. Hello, hello, hello. Please welcome to the program, Zibby.
Hi, thanks.
Hello, hello. Listen, two Allens are better than one, and it's a rare occurrence. I think it happened only two times on the show, so I'm really looking forward to it.
I love that. I know. Every time I would read your name, I had to like do a double thing because it was confusing me. But I love it. You're right. Two Ellens are better than one.
Yours is far more interesting, more common because Allen is the last name is what people are used to. For me, thankfully, it's Weisberg doesn't sound like a first name, so I don't get people saying which one's your first. But I definitely understand if that happens.
Well, Zibby for a first name isn't necessarily uncomplicated. It's not. It's not an easy one for people to wrap their minds around.
And you did tell people what the your birth name was. If anybody doesn't know, your birth name is.
Elizabeth. It's short for Elizabeth. And then when I say that, people are like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense."
Does it really? It doesn't because Lizzie would be kind of the more conventional nickname in that regard. But
Yeah. You could do a lot with Elizabeth. There's Beth,
yeah.
Lizzie,
Mhm.
Libby, all the things except Zibby until now.
Hey, uniqueness is great. I named my daughter. We named our daughter. Excuse me, to my wife who's watching this. We named her Annette, Anett, with a different spelling. And before, as she started school and kids were trying to figure out what that name was and how to spell it, they had issues with it. And Annette at that point said, "Why do I have a weird name?" And then she started appreciating its uniqueness, and now she loves it. So hopefully, it was the same way for you and Zibby.
Oh yeah, same for me. And by the way, one of my best friends growing up was named Annette, so I'm very fond of that name. I have a very fond association with that name.
Thank you. One of our names, again, everybody who's watching, waiting for me to get to Virgin River, I promise you I will in a second. But
No, we're
uh,
just going to talk about names for the next half hour. Sorry, guys.
I think so. And then we'll dive into numerology and then we'll break down the actual letter and number combinations of Zibby versus Elizabeth and how it changed your life forever. We
But
can do
wait,
that.
I
Yeah,
want to do that, Alan. Like,
we can.
that sounds
Yeah.
very fun to me.
Sounds good. Once we're wrapped, then we're going to get into that because I'll just take out a spreadsheet that we've built that has all of those calculations that we'll dive into.
Seriously?
Yeah, I'm not kidding.
I'm taking you up on that. I want to know all of that. That's exciting.
And why do you think I changed my name and we chose our daughter and son's name for a specific reason? It's because of that. Fortunately, my wife went along with it a couple of years afterwards. It took a little convincing, but that's how it goes.
Okay, now I'm going to interview you next, and I have so many questions. That's like part two. I'm going to just start an interview channel just to interview you once on this topic.
I'm ready anytime you are, and then we can add all sorts of herbs to it, which I heard you talk herbs. I immediately went to my herbal closet, took out some of my stuff. Dr. Schultz is one of my favorites. I am
Yeah.
not sponsored by Dr. Schultz. This is just me sharing. So anyway,
Wait, that
but
excites me. Okay, like you're sending me in all these directions. I know we're here for Virgin River. Like I now want to just engage on numerology, letters, herbs. Okay, we'll
and
save the witchcraft for later.
and will do, as a matter of fact, and I showed this to you, but everybody, here's the list of questions that we're going to get into, not all of them. And there is a specific section for Virgin River questions. We'll get to those first, and then Zibby and I can talk about other stuff that you may or may not want to listen to.
Perfect.
So, anyway, getting to Virgin River, and I have to thank Linda Boyd. Linda, thank you again if you're watching this. If it weren't for you, I would not have watched Virgin River. I had an interview set with Linda Boyd. To prep for the interview, I watched a first episode of Virgin River, and then I couldn't stop. And then my wife got hooked, and everything went that way. So, Linda, thank you, thank you.
We love Linda.
Um,
She's incredible.
yeah, so three seasons so far. Here's keeping our fingers crossed that there's going to be a fourth.
Yes.
Yes. And in terms of season three, right? When kind of season one was awesome, season two, started building a few more things that we thought are going to come in 3, and then in 3 you appear. And by you, we're talking about Brie, the character, of course. I know some fans have a problem with, you, Zibby, versus Brie, and then they keep talking of, as if you are the character. We'll get into that in a minute.
It's
But
fine.
Brie appeared, and to me, it added so much more color and interest to a series that I already enjoyed, because I did not, I didn't hate, let's say, hate is a very strong word, but I didn't hate Brady's character. I just didn't like him. And then all of
Yeah.
a sudden, that was transformed, and you were the catalyst for that. So,
Oh,
how
thanks.
did 3 come about for you?
In a pretty like standard actor story way, the audition came, showed up in my inbox, and at that point, I think my husband and I strangely had just started watching Virgin River because it kept showing up on our, our like what to watch feed. And so it was a funny little coincidence, just the timing of that. And then it was in the height of the pandemic, so I taped myself from home because no one was having in-person auditions, and it was a really hefty audition. It was like 6 scenes because clearly they needed to know
Wow.
that I was capable. Filmed it, sent it off into the ether without any sense of what would happen after that, and then it wasn't until I think like 6 weeks later, and 6 weeks is like 13 years to an actor. It's like you just forget about it. I had gone on and auditioned for other things, and then all of a sudden I got a call from my agent saying, "You're the new series regular on Virgin River. Congrats." And I was like, "What?"
No callbacks, no other processes, no chemistry reads, nothing.
No, nothing, which is, as you know, very rare in our industry for a job of that size. But
Yeah.
I really connected with the material. I was proud of my audition. And it was just one of those things where I was told later they saw it, they knew it was a fit. I felt it when I was doing it, and even though I've learned to forget about auditions as soon as I do them, there was just always a sense that was like, well, yeah, I mean, it's absolutely could go my way, but just because it could doesn't mean it will. And it was just a very happy surprise to get that call. And yeah, no callback, no chemistry read.
That's 6 weeks. That's a lot. Yeah, I usually, again, my limited acting experience, but you do the audition. I keep kind of, here's where you do the audition. You do the self tapes, right?
Yeah.
So you do the audition, then you take the sides, the breakdowns. I leave them on that table. They stay there for about a week. If I hear nothing, they go right into the recycle folder.
That's right.
6 weeks. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, I have to ask this question? I know you get asked that all the time because people love your dancing, but was dancing one of the 6 scenes that you had to tape for?
Alan, no, it was not. And thank goodness, because I don't know if I would have gotten the audition if that was a component of it. I mean, gotten the job if that was a component
Yeah.
of the auditions. When I saw that in the script originally, I've said this before, but I wanted to die. I was like, how am I going to do this? It actually was one of those moments where I first read it and I thought, and I'm done. I think I'm in the wrong profession. I can't do this. Just never mind. I was quite nervous about it. We ended up having a blast. But even when we did it, I thought, okay, good, it's out the way. And when it comes out, hopefully it'll just be like one of those scenes that they just like sort of skip over. No one notices it. And of course, that scene's been
Yeah.
played and played and played online, and people have done so many mashups of it.
So it's awesome. It was great. It is what it is. People love it, and just take it for what the reception that it got.
It was.
Um,
It's. I mean, it's nice that people liked it. I just am like totally shocked by that.
it's good. It's a better reaction than the opposite, of course.
Correct,
Um,
which I was anticipating. So yeah, I'll take it.
And then you mentioned your husband. I do have a question because, again, as an actor, I haven't had to have this conversation with my wife, and judging by the types of roles that I'm getting, I don't think I'll ever have to, which I'm okay with. But what was the conversation, or was there a conversation with your husband after you looked at the breakdown? You know what you have to do in the upcoming scenes. Let's put them that way. Was there a conversation, or it was like, hey, it's a job?
I mean, it's a great question. I'm really lucky to have such a supportive partner, and we're so solid in our relationship that for whatever very fortunate reason, including I think the fact that we're so solid and he's so solid in himself that he doesn't love it. He's not super comfortable with it, but he's definitely not threatened by that aspect of my job, which makes, of course, doing my job so much easier. Because I feel like I have space to go there in the scene with in the spirit of my character without feeling like I'm causing damage at home. And I know that's not always the case for everybody.
Right.
The conversation probably went like, babe, there's lots of making out in this, and he was in his sweet way, okay, cool, well, babe, you're married to me, right? Yeah. You're gonna stay married to me, right? Yeah. All right, go do your thing, be good. And even when he watched it,
Yeah.
I've said this before, but he pushed pause at one point, like I think after the second makeout, and he's like, I'm only going to say this one time, but you guys have some hot chemistry. Like, good job. And we laughed. It's definitely not fun for him, but it has not thrown us overboard. And I've had other partners in the past, rightfully, fairly, where that has not been easy for them. It can be a hard thing to negotiate in a relationship when you've got an artist.
Yeah. I would imagine so. And then again, I mean, Dan Payne, a friend of the show, who's awesome, King Shark on Flash. So you had a chance to be with Dan Payne. Now you have a chance to be with Ben. Ben is awesome. So it's like it has to be a really solid relationship in order to not be adversely affected by it.
Totally. I'm so lucky for that, because even extending beyond the physically intimate aspects of my career, those requirements, it's long hours. It requires emotional intimacy with other people that you wouldn't otherwise know, and it has to happen fast. And to be that available for the work, I mean, I think most people like to keep those parts of their partner to themselves. And my husband, has really been so gracious in affording me a great deal of freedom and respect for what I do without making it about a threat to our relationship, and I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah, it's a very, very nice thing to have. Adam, if you're watching, good. Not that my approval for anything, but very, very nice.
Yeah.
In watching your interviews, and I had a very pleasant time over the last couple of days watching all of your interviews.
I'm so sorry for that.
I found them wonderful and fascinating. You speak about your heart often, and checking in with your heart, and feeling your way through. As an artist, when you have to do these, as you just mentioned, you have to have the intimacy or the emotional connection, dramatic scenes. There is a lot that goes through your heart. How do you, as an artist, versus you as a person, allow that to pass and get back into you, the you that you know, the you that you appreciate, as opposed to a character?
Mm-hmm. I love that question. I've never been asked that question before. I am a really heart-centered person in general, and in my work, I'm always looking for that connective tissue between who I am and my inner world, my inner emotional world, and who my character is and what their inner emotional world looks like. And I'm trying to find a way in, connective tissue always. And that sort of becomes my portal into my character's world and the specifics of their context and circumstances. But I sort of thread myself through to the other side, if you will. So in a sense, there's never any full returning. It's just, I've always said, like, I look for the ways in which I fully differ from my character and the ways in which we're the same. And the differences feel like trying that flavor or that aspect of self that otherwise lies a little bit dormant on for size. Sort of, that's the fun, that's the play of it. I have this just general philosophy that we as individuals have access to all aspects of humanity, whether or not those aspects play a dominant role in our day to day. You know, Zibby identity may not, carry the same sort of, frankly, even confidence that Bree really tries to lead with, but that's in me. And if I can trust that's in me, then I can sort of tap into it and thread that through over to her. And so while it's not really like leaving that all behind and returning back to me, it's more like all of the characters I play, I think, kind of tend to grow me up and help me find aspects of myself that actually live in me, and I can use them or not use them. So it's kind of this ongoing forever exploration, if that makes sense. I hope I answered that.
It does. And one of the quotes from the interviews that you've done, I love that. You said, as an actor, I get a chance to visit parts of myself I wouldn't be able to otherwise. And you've answered that question that I was going to ask, of how that allowed you to grow, or how that allowed you to change as who you are.
Yeah. It's great. Like I get really emotionally like attached to characters that I play because I feel them. I'm looking for the way to feel inside of them. And the best part about playing a role is like that moment where that character makes a decision that I just don't understand, as Zibby. And then I have to like go exploring and figure out what is that I don't understand? What is it that my being is having resistance to? And ultimately, I sort of find my own blocks and get to remove them in order to go where I need to go. So this work of ours, because I know you're an actor as well, is like, in my opinion, kind of always working on yourself. You just always, it's like constantly honing self-awareness.
Yeah, and as long as you have a good anchor and you're grounded in your understanding of self, and you can expand on that, then you're okay. Otherwise, people tend to get lost, and then it takes them a while to get back to them.
Understandably, yeah. It's a very bizarre, strange sort of identity dance.
Are there any roles, again, I'll use this as a silly example, but there have been roles that I was offered that were cultish, or very heavy, kind of dark energy. I'm all on the energy, kind of how does it feel to me? So I understand that aspect. Those roles I've turned down because I just don't want to swim in those energies. Are there roles that you turn down because, again, your heart center, it just doesn't feel right?
Not yet. I've turned down roles for other reasons, but like, just because the job didn't appeal to me, or it didn't feel like a way I needed to be spending my time in that particular. But no, I mean, even though I get scared to visit certain parts, that fear also feels like a call to go see what's there and sort of eradicate the fear by going through it personally.
No.
So not yet, but let's check back in 5 years. Let's see.
And you're always welcome. So let's do that. Would you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert?
Funny. I think people would think I'm an extrovert because I have a pretty big network of people, and I love connecting, but I feel very introverted, and the older I get, the more introverted I become. I require so much alone time, and solitude is like one of my favorite things. And I need it for a recharge. I actually a couple years ago, heard this term ambivert. Have you heard of it?
No. What is it?
So, and I wonder if people relate to this. I did. So an ambivert is sort of both. It's someone who is good at being out and interactive, and gets some kind of little charge from being around people, sort of likes being, but requires major recharge time alone. You should look up ambivert. It's really good, and I think a lot of us probably fit into that category more than ever.
I think so, especially for me, because people always said that I'm an extrovert, and I always look and say, that's not at all. I am an introverted person. I enjoy being extroverted in the proper environment.
Totally.
So, give me into a spiritual retreat, celebrate your life conference where everybody is vibrating in a similar energy. I love it. I get charged by that. I'm all over that. but send
Right.
me to Walmart to do shopping. After 30 minutes, I've accumulated so much crap. I need time to get it off of me. So
Yeah.
it's a very, very specific environment.
Totally. That's why you're all about energy, because you feel it wherever you go. And so you got to be protective of what you absorb, right? So that makes perfect sense.
Yep, empath. I'm sure you know how that is.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Most great artists are. I love that about my fellow artists, the empathic quality.
Isn't it, again, it's when you're on set, there's all sorts of things that you have to do. It's a job, but to me, in the limited experience that I have, I just love interacting with actors. They are, or at least the ones that I have interacted with so far, they're the most open-minded, accepting, self-aware bunch that you can just be with, and you don't have to put on shields and really worry about yourself. So I really enjoy that aspect of it.
Yeah, oh yeah, the theater, I always say the theaters where I started saved my life, because it was just made up of people from all walks of life, and there was no one size fits all. It was where all the misfits, I never really fit in school. And so when I found theater, it's like I found my place, because I could just be me. Um, and anyway, it genuinely saved my life. But it's because of that. It's like who people that what people in the creative arts, actually, I'll just expand it to that, sort of the lens through which they look at themselves in life just creates a little bit more of a, yeah, what's the word, just safety.
Yeah,
Hmm.
compassion, connectivity.
Hmm.
Just we live in such a polarized world that you turn on the news and it's all about splitting us into different groups. And I actually specifically started watching Hallmark. I started watching Hallmark because it puts me into the right space of connectivity and compassion and love. And I need that. Otherwise, I feel very all the other sorts of emotions that I don't want to feel. By the way, Ben, the first Hallmark thing that I watched right after Virgin River is an incredible, series, Signed, Sealed, Delivered, and he is there in the pilot as the guest star. I'm like, hello, I was just watching you on season 3, so he was
That's awesome. Well, you might be happy to know that I just did a Hallmark movie,
one of
and
my
so that
questions.
oh great, so that's coming out in the fall. They changed the name recently, so I think it's now called The Vows We Keep. It's coming out in October.
How much, again, one of my dreams, I already told this to my agent, if my agent is watching, Hallmark, Hallmark, Hallmark. One of my dreams, I kind of define the 4 different types of roles that I want to play, and Hallmark is one of the 4. How was
Cool.
your experience working with Hallmark?
I've always liked this. This was my second Hallmark movie, and I really enjoy them for a lot of the same reasons. I mean, I've never been on a Hallmark set that doesn't feel good. Like everyone, that they know what they're doing, and they pull together really great people who are in love with telling those stories. It's so fun and pleasant and feel good, and there's a safety in sort of the equation of every Hallmark. You sort of know where it's going, but you can't help but love it. And there have been a ton of studies on um, really Hallmark audiences, right? And I learned something recently that a huge swath of Hallmark's audience are veterans who, and if you think about it, they are specifically veterans deal a lot with PTSD. And what's brilliant about Hallmark and the formula of Hallmark and the way they formulate very deliberately their movies um, is for people who need to feel good, but in a very contained storyline where there's this knowable beginning, middle, and end. In fact, I heard recently, my dad's a huge fan of Hallmark, huge. And, um, if you pay attention in Hallmark, there are no, in the background, doors ajar. And there's a reason for that. It's because a door ajar in the background gives this subtle sense that anyone could pop out at any minute. And that's how deliberate they are about taking care of the audience and knowing their audience, which I think is really smart. I mean, Hallmark knows what they're doing. You could love it or hate it, but they're doing something right, and they're pulling in an audience base that needs to feel good and have a moment, but not feel out of control. Like Handmaid's Tale leaves me rocked like every time, right? Like I'm just like sweaty palms and nervous, and I feel like the state of the world is so scary. It has its own impact, its own effect, but Hallmark knows exactly what it's doing, and I have a lot of respect for that.
Yeah, and in a way, Virgin River was that for me as well because
Mhm.
it goes slower. There's plenty of drama, as we all know,
Yeah.
but it's a slower, different pace that allows you to really relax. And then when things arise, you feel them, but then you have a way of kind of coming down, and it's a different pace that I really enjoyed after watching, Scandal, or after watching, all
Yeah.
those shows, which are amazing, but
Yeah.
almost literally give me PTSD after watching them for a while.
Yeah, yeah, it makes perfect sense. And I mean, you're clearly not alone in that. I'm blown away by how popular Virgin River is. And I think the world really appreciates the content of Virgin River for the same reasons. And I always like to understand, like, what is it about a show that I'm doing or a movie that I've done that works? It's like you want to be curious about the audience. And I think that you're touching on what a lot of people across the globe, especially these days, craves in their content.
Yeah, and you're a storyteller. You love telling stories in all ways, shapes, and forms. So for you, that doesn't surprise me at all.
I do. I love it so much. Yeah.
Speaking again, getting back to Virgin River, and I did mention your love of herbalism. By the way, I'm also drinking herbal tea.
I'm so impressed. And within a life is good mug? I mean,
It has to be.
okay.
Uh, Again, if I'm doing something I really want to, if somebody is watching, this little thing hopefully will make them smile, and that's the best I can hope for.
Alan, you
Um,
really need to be getting a Hallmark movie. This is your lane. I'm feeling it.
it's always been the spiritual teachings and just being in the heart. It's what gets me back into it
Yeah.
because there's so much out there in the world, and I have a regular job, and the job has its own level of stresses, and I have kids that are growing up, and the kids are going through their things, and give me my homework. I have my time to recharge, and then I'm back. I'm okay. So.
I love it. I love it.
So back to the herbs for a second, knowing how much you love it, and you are, going in a Virgin River. It's not, I mean, we can call it a set, but you're basically in beautiful locations and scenery all the time. Was there any herbs that you kind of between scenes dropped down and said, "Ooh, okay, I can use this one. I can use this one."
Right on set. Oh,
Yeah.
that's funny. I didn't go foraging for herbs while on location, although that's a really good idea. If we go back, I'm gonna be like looking through. Well, I'm learning now a lot about mushrooms. There's a really good documentary on
Mhm.
Netflix right now about that. But anyway, so I'm liable to see those in the forest more than most herbs. No, I use herbs all the time. I've done a lot of my own personal healing through the use of herbs and making my own tinctures and infusions. And I would definitely show up to set with my herbal infusion of the week every day. Yeah.
It's a great idea, and you need it, especially on a set. There's so much happening on a set.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's so much. Yeah, it requires a lot to ground, and I don't think people fully get that part about being on a set. There's just so many moving parts, and at the same in the middle of all that, and in the middle of someone touching your hair and looking at your face and adjusting your thing between every take and landing on this mark and making sure you're cheating toward camera, and is the light hitting you right, and what are the lines? You also have to sort of find a way to be totally and utterly open to the other person and intimate emotionally or otherwise. So yeah, anything to ground myself, I use it.
These
Oh,
things.
okay, beads. What are those? What are they made of?
Uh, uh, what is the name? Now the name
Oh,
escapes me. I think it's amethyst.
cool. Oh, gorgeous. Love the color.
So yeah, it's all sorts, a whole collection up there
Awesome.
with a variety of things. Um, in terms of kind of, again, you love storytelling, and you're in a beautiful series that has a lot of stories. And what I truly enjoy about it is the fact that they tell love stories from all forms, from all ages. And it's a really, really sweet way of looking at life. Is there a particular love story? Obviously, you have your own, or Bree has her own. Is there a love story that captivated you?
I'm pretty captivated by all the love stories, but the first thing that popped in my mind when you asked is Doc and Hope, actually.
Yeah.
Tim Matheson last season gave a performance that had me and my husband like ugly crying and holding each other's hand. Like, it was just so beautiful. And there was something that hit really hard about it, probably maybe extra because of the pandemic and the vulnerability of the added vulnerability of certain generations. You know, there's just something about it just like really hit hard. And
Yeah.
I loved how dedicated Doc was to Hope. That moment when he was actually going to go and try and go look for her in the middle of the hurricane, because no matter what, and I think it was Jack who tried to stop him, and he was
Yeah.
like, if it was Mel, would you go? And like, it still gives me chills. Yeah, I was very captivated by their love story this last season.
Great. I asked Jenny that question, so I'm going to ask you the same. But are you Team Hope or Team Muriel?
Oh, I'm Team Hope.
Yeah.
I love Tara, who plays Muriel. She's been fantastic. And if anyone's gonna, you know, tempt me to want Doc to choose another lady, it would be her. But no, I'm for the journey of Doc and Hope for sure.
I like that way of putting it. You're for the journey of Doc and Hope. I looked at it from the perspective of, who is a better fit for Doc that allows Doc to be himself and who doesn't bring the drama. So that I tended to go more in the Muriel's direction. But I like the way that you're looking at it from the journey. I definitely want to see that journey. I agree with you.
Yeah, I think it's a good journey. I think sometimes when people sort of bump up against each other, don't fully fit, or when there's tension, they have lots more to learn from one another. And you
Sure.
could even say the same about Bree and Brady. You know, they were unlikely pair that found each other sort of by accident. They weren't expecting it. So there's lots that works about them, but I think that they come from two very different walks of life and two different kind of philosophies and way of navigating the world. And so, but in a way, they have something to gain from one another because they're not same, you know.
Very much. And if there is a season 4, is there a particular way that you're not the writer, right? So there's the amount of control, but you as a fan of the show that you were, is there a direction that you would want to see that relationship going?
Yeah, it's like I've thought about it. Certainly, I've wondered. You probably know that in the books, Bree has a full-on love with Mike, the detective Mike. Yeah. And so a lot of the audience who's read the books, they're Team Mike, and there's sort of this Team Brady versus Team Mike because they sort of know what could be coming. I think what I want most for Bree is for her to be able to really trust her heart with somebody and to heal from her trauma and find balance again. Where this last season, she found safety in the arms of like the unexpected, sort of the bad boy, not so bad as we've come to find out. But I want it to be able to stick. Like I want to give her stability and consistency and a sense of safety again. And if that's with Brady, that would be wonderful. And if that's with someone else, then as long as she gets that because she deserves it. That's gonna be where I stop with that answer.
That's fine. And some of the next questions I know you're not allowed to answer, but there is a lot of talk and thought process of who shot Jack. And then based on the last number of episodes in season 3, you're starting to get the idea that there is something going on with Mike that he didn't share. And maybe it's Mike that actually is to blame for Jack getting shot.
Yeah, people
So
are saying that.
based on that alone, and not having read the books yet,
Hmm.
I'm definitely on Team Brady. I'm not on Team Mike.
You are. So many people are Team Brady. I love it. That's great. It's good.
Yeah, listen, if things change and Mike, gets proven that he's a good guy, like he was shown to be until the doubts came, then maybe we'll see. But for now, I'm definitely Team Brady.
Love it.
Um, uh, the people who when I posted on Instagram, there was a question for you that came in of, you had a chance to work very closely with Alex. You had a chance to work very closely with Ben, obviously, and very closely with Martin. Excuse me, I forgot his name. I'm thinking of
Jack.
Jack. It's
Yeah.
not Jack. I already used it. So,
I do it too. I do it too.
what were your favorite scenes with him?
Ah. Um, yeah. Well, I really loved working with all three of them so much. I really enjoyed, well, I mean, it's hard to pick a favorite.
I know.
Oh, that's hard. I mean, all my scenes, I'll start with Martin. Whenever the Sheridan siblings could have like a little back and forth,
Yeah.
especially when it was playful, like in the diner, there was some playfulness there. I really like that. I like that for him. And also, we kind of have a very jovial, sibling esque vibe on set. So he's good fun, really playful, and I enjoyed moments where we could infuse our scenes with a little bit of brotherly sister, like, nudging. Alex is such a wonderful actress and she's so generous. So working with her was such a gift because, like, in the scene where I tell her about the rape, we weren't on her coverage, we were on mine, but she was right there with me, crying with me. And I mean, that's so generous, and I don't think people realize that can, when that doesn't always happen when someone's not, it's not their coverage, they're not giving that much. She's always just like right there for me, and no matter whose coverage we're on, is just really ready to load in. And she and Martin are really, really fun together because they have this established wonderful chemistry and friendship. So in the scenes where it was the three of us, we had a blast. Like that scene where they're getting ready to go to the funeral and Jack's like, I'm staying. And I'm like, please tell Jack that I'm fine. And we laughed a lot that day. So that was great. And then as far as Ben goes, who plays Brady, we also had a really good time, but my favorite scene with him was in the bar when we were playing darts. Really fun fact, it didn't make it on screen because I was supposed to be a bad dart player. But Alan, I couldn't stop throwing perfect darts. I threw a bullseye on the take where I was trying to throw a bad dart. I don't want to brag.
Is that why it didn't get put in because
Yeah,
you
yeah.
went against character?
I was too good at darts. Like, what can I say? I was trying to be bad. And maybe that's the trick to darts. It's like you're trying to be bad. But no, we had a really fun time that day in the bar and doing a lot of like lead up, just playful banter that um, I enjoyed. Any chance we get to laugh on set, especially with that heavy content, is a welcomed relief. And all three of those actors have such a great sense of humor.
Yeah, and you've mentioned the scene again. The Bree is recovering. The Jack and Mel are going to a funeral, and you guys are laughing in between takes. How difficult is it to snap back into the heavy mode after just having laughter, and then somebody yells,
Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's hard, and we don't do ourselves any service by chuckling in between. But when push comes to shove, you do it. I used to have a problem as an actor in comedy, and I started a lot in comedy. I did a lot of comedy where I would crack myself up and break a lot. And I had shame about it. And I had a teacher once tell me, "Oh, that just means that the comedy's working because you're making your own self laugh. So that's good." And he's like, and now pretend Steven Spielberg is watching. And so I kind of weirdly, that always stuck with me. And Steven Spielberg is just like one example of 1,000 great, directors who you could think of, but you just have to quickly remind yourself, no, this is about to be seen by someone. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's fair. And knowing again, you've done sitcom, obviously, and farm, and you've done other stuff. And then I looked as I was, marketing this, and I was trying to find your headshots. I looked at so many of your headshots, and all of them are dramatic. All of them are serious. Most of them are not smiling. Most of them are really in a different spectrum. And then I watched your interviews, and you're very lively, and you're smiling, and you're heart open person. I'm thinking, where are all of those headshots? Why am I not
Um,
seeing any of them?
Alan, I need you to consult me on headshots. I'm just so bad at taking headshots. I've never liked it. Um, I've never felt photogenic. I'm not saying that for anyone to say. It's just been a struggle for me, and I don't love. I'm gonna admit this. I've never loved my smile in a photo, in a headshot session at least. And so, I appreciate you saying that about my energy. I've just never been able to capture it in a headshot session. I get so stiff. That's the one thing. Like photo shoots, I'm just like a dork. I suddenly forget how to hold my face, how to feel natural. I can't. I can't.
Maybe again, there is okay. So in terms of people are going to hate me for this, and Alex, I apologize in advance because I mean this. It's gonna come out wrong, and I don't mean it that way.
This
But
anticipation.
yeah, all of the setup for this, but watching Alex and watching Mel, and she's a beautiful human being and a beautiful woman, and she's getting so many compliments. And Jack always says, "Oh my God, you're a star," and I'm looking at it, and I thought, okay, she is beautiful, but is she that level where there's so many compliments? Am I not seeing something? Am I not getting whatever? And then season three, Brie comes in. I said, okay, now I get it. And then I didn't get all of the compliments that were written into the show. I'm like, where are all the compliments for Brie? I'm expecting compliments. I didn't get the compliments. So you can be, maybe during the headshots you were having a problem, but certainly the screen is speaking all of it.
That's very nice of you. And I will say this clearly, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And clearly, none of us, I'm incapable of being objective because, again, just in the spirit of total transparency,
Mhm.
it's incredibly vulnerable just in general to be a human being, but then to be an actor, and then also to see yourself, your image and likeness being sort of played back at you. And I have always struggled with it. I've really worked hard to get myself to a place where, and I'm not there yet, but my aim is to get to a place where I'm not fussed, or I'm just fully accepting of what I see, what I like, and what I think I don't like. Because um, I can see myself and really like spin. It's just like an awful feeling. I always say this like to other fellow actors, and I've done a little bit of teaching, and I always say, well, it's none of your business what you look like. Your business is telling the truth. Easier said than done, though. So I appreciate the kind words. And Brady tells Bree she's pretty, but yeah, and I personally think Alex is stunning. But again, it's like, we're attracted to faces for different reasons, and who knows? The whole beauty conversation is
It's
like
it's
washing your
so
hands with glue.
right. It's subjective and it's ridiculous. And I can only imagine the comments I'm going to get below this video. Anyway,
No, I mean, but that's the thing. It's like, for anyone who is going to comment, you're talking about like the types of beauty that you
yeah.
specifically respond to, and like it's really nice to hear that you think Brie
Mhm.
is worthy of high compliments. That's really lovely, and I'm sure a lot of people feel the opposite, and that's just or somewhere in the middle, and it's totally fine. But that's instead of whatever, you get what I'm saying. There's
Yeah.
no shame in the conversation.
Yeah, and there are a lot of beautiful women on the show, and everyone
Yeah.
deserves praise and everyone deserves more compliments. So, writers, if you're listening or watching this, please put in more compliments specifically to each woman on the show.
That's nice. Equality, compliment equality for all.
Well, or at least an increased amount.
Yeah.
But in terms of headshots, I totally get you because I have a very toothy smile and I have a big nose. So I hated taking headshots and I don't smile often. Now, on the headshots, what I usually do is this.
Yeah. I feel you. I
So I
feel you,
smile a
Alan.
lot. I do my eyebrows. This is my look.
That's your like quirky.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we all have our thing. Isn't that funny?
it is.
Yeah.
And watching myself on screen, it took a while to kind of get used to it. And then
Yeah.
I got to that kind of the point of saying, you know what, you're getting roles or you're going through life the way that you are, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, and love yourself for who you are with all of your pluses and minuses, and just let it go.
Yeah, totally, totally. That's the aim.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anyway, so more headshots to put all this back around. More headshots with you smiling
Okay.
because let the light shine so people
Okay.
can see you and hopefully get you into more roles that are not sad or dramatic.
Well, thank you. I will take that advice. It's a good observation. I was hoping no one would notice, but you caught me,
I'm so sorry.
Alan.
Oh, listen, if anybody wants to find this because it's readily available on YouTube. One of the other things that I enjoyed learning about you is socks and my goodness,
Chimes.
socks and chimes. Thank you. Socks and chimes. The music itself is so lovely. It is such a great energy, and both of you in the videos that I saw were so lovely in kind of the smiles and the energy and kind of the way that you built up some of the scenes that you were doing. It's a joy, and I think that
Thanks.
that needs to be a part of the reel. That's where I'm going.
Thanks. I've never felt like I'm a very good musician, and our music is that was 10 years ago. That
Mhm.
first is really unpolished and whimsical and sort of mythical, and it's almost like kids' music for adults. But that's what my connection is with Ian. Like we really feel like when we're together, we feel like we could time travel, and I mean, we're just there's sort of this magical chemistry between us, and so we write songs that are very much reflective of our connection and our love for each other in the world and our families and our partners, and yeah. I love that you like it. Thank you.
I do. I love the little bird. I love the little, the fun ending. It was very, very cute.
Oh, thank you. I can't believe you listened to it.
I try to do my research before
You do your
before
research.
talking to people. So
Yeah.
I have another, 27 questions to ask you, which I'm not going to. But is there anything, you're even more in the public eye, and now people are
Mhm.
recognizing you. Now people are doing more research on you and kind of watching stuff that you've been in.
Mhm.
Is there anything that people who know you well know about you that the public does not that you want to share?
Well, I mean, I'm sure we should ask them. I mean,
Sure.
I think the people who really know me know like what a little like a friend today who I had coffee with a friend today, and she called me a sensitive little vessel. And I kind of loved that description, but also felt really exposed that she sort of knew that about me. And at the end of the day, I really am just a little bit of a sensitive vessel. Like, yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know if that answers the question. But there's lots of things the public doesn't know, and that's probably good. you know?
I love the sensitive little vessels. I always look during the interviews for what it is that I'm going to name the episode. would you be offended if that's the name for the episode, or should we change?
Alan, go for it. Go for it. I may regret it later, but go for it.
We can always change it if you like.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm a sensitive little vessel, okay? The world's just, well, I'll just own it. I'll own it.
So am I, and my friends know that about me, and I think that's a good thing because the world needs us sensitive little vessels in order to shepherd is the wrong term. Vessel, what's the term I'm looking for? To help guide people to a better shore. How about that?
Love it. Love it. You're like a little lighthouse. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Perfect. Zibby, thank you so much for coming on. I really enjoyed our chat. Anytime you want to talk numerology or anything else, I know you need to run. I'm always open and happy to jump.
I mean, I need you to explain, like the name and the number thing. Like, we're not done here. I'm dead serious. I want to know everything.
You know me. I'm happy to do it. So.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me. You're a delight. Thanks for being a sensitive little vessel with me.
You and I both, and I'm sure a lot of people watching are as well. Welcome to the club.
Yes, exactly. Sensitive little vessel club. That's cute. I like that.
Thank you to everybody for watching. We're really hopeful for season 4 of Virgin River. So whenever and if ever that comes out, we're all going to love it. Thanks for watching. Please post your comments and be kind to me and my observations. And Alex, I definitely love you and think you're beautiful. Thank you, everybody.